Sandra all the time is here with a cold heart true. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama, call Sandra in the morning and in the evening. They always calling Sandra. And when they start fighting, they calling Sandra. And
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth. Welcome to another episode with more truth telling, more problem solving, and of course, more tea spilling than ever before. Sit back, students, grab your tea and turn up the volume because class is now in session. Call in at 936-2626 because your voice matters. Share your opinion on issues that matter the most to you. All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. And guess what? It's Friday the 13th. Lucky day. Yeah, go do something fun for yourself today. Have an extra piece of cake. Why not? So good morning to everyone. We're going to do a little bit of a redo. I know the radio folks might feel a little bit of deja vu once we start talking this morning. However, as you guys know, on Tuesday, we had some audio issues that prevented us from having a proper show with our friends over at Health City, Cayman Islands. And this was quite an important discussion. So we want to make sure that you guys know of all the latest and greatest developments that are happening over there. And so we're going to go back to talking about this robotic knee surgery system. So let's go ahead and welcome Mr. Shamari Scott back in. Good morning, Shamari.
Good morning, Sandy. And I know you're trying to fool people that you had technical difficulties. You just didn't want them to hear about the Dolphins win. The huge Dolphins win.
Yes, so, yes. Trust me.
It's almost a week. It's almost a week since, but still have to.
You still have to represent.
Yeah, the Dolphins won, still in the playoff hunt, and
yes.
We're going to win again this week, and then next week is a big, even bigger matchup with San Fran just before Christmas. So
before Christmas. So Christmas is coming for you, no doubt. Good stuff. All right. And we have, of course, Dr. Naranjan, who's also joining us in the studio this morning. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Sandra. Good morning, Shamari. How are you?
How are you? So, of course, I don't think he needs any introduction, but Shamari, why don't you do the honors in case some of our listeners might never have heard of Dr. Naranjan? Tell us all about his expertise.
Well, first, before I tell you about his expertise, I brought a coffee mug just for Dr. Naranjan.
That's nice.
With great beard comes great responsibility. Both of them are rocking full beards this morning. I love
it. So we have a little bit of beard envy going on. So I'm gonna have to buy that for you for Christmas, so you can have your own coffee mug for that great beard you have going there, Dr.
Yes, I love it. You know, some people really do look good with a beard. I must say that both of you look amazing. I don't like a beard on everyone. But it suits both of you. So good going.
We can be models now, Dr. Naranjan.
Yes. I'll see you in the next Health City commercial, no doubt.
But on a serious note, very happy. As you said, most people know Dr. Naranjan, and I know you know him personally as well, Sandy, because he's helped out your family on a few occasions.
Yes.
But Dr. Naranjan has over 2 decades of experience doing complex cases. He has over 7,000 procedures under his belt, over 3,000 arthroscopic surgeries, over 1,000 joint replacement surgeries, and over 1,200 trauma surgeries based on specific expertise he would have had when he was back in India as well. So we're just happy to have, colleagues and professionals like Dr. Naranjan here with us. And over the years, we are celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year. The great thing is we brought a lot of firsts to the English-speaking Caribbean and a lot of firsts to the Caribbean itself when it comes to medical technology, medical procedures, and it's due to the investment that Health City is willing to make, knowing that over time it's going to be to the benefit of the Caymanian people as well as all residents on island. And as you know, we have that big gift of a bow at Camana Bay, which will be back on next Tuesday to give some very exciting news. But at the end of the day, you can have beautiful facilities. Persons who go inside Camana Bay says, "Oh wow, it looks like a spa," or Health City at Camana Bay, it looks like a spa. But unless you have the personnel, the physicians, support staff, it's all for naught. And we're just happy to have physicians like Dr. Naranjan who are able to, outside of their day-to-day activities, to look to see what's the newest and best and how we can increase outcomes in certain areas for patients, and to more or less do a sales job as to why we need to have this new equipment. And the management, for the most part, is always supportive once the evidence is there. And what we're going to discuss today is one of those firsts in the English-speaking Caribbean, as well as Dr. Naranjan is going to be able to outline all of the benefits that come with this CORI system that we'll present to the public today.
Wonderful. All right. So, yes, like I said, we were talking about it, but because we had a couple audio issues on Tuesday, we want to make sure that people know about this system because, quite frankly, it is, amazing technology that really moves forward the area of robotics surgery, specifically for the knee. Let me ask you this question, Doc. I don't think I asked you this on Tuesday, but can this be used for anything else? I know the technology is growing so quickly. But at this particular stage, is the CORI robotic system just for knees at this time?
This CORI robotic system has been designed to keeping in mind both hip and knee replacement, but it is very flexible. In fact, with newer updates, which the company is working on, it can be used for procedures like ligament reconstruction. For example, ACL ligament reconstruction in the knee joint can be done, the arthroscopic procedure, can be done with the robotic system. But currently, we are starting with only the knee replacement. It can be with total knee replacement to begin with, and in a few months we will add partial knee replacement with the robotics, and maybe in a year or so we will start hip replacement with robotics. But the ligament reconstruction, it has to wait for the company's development. Maybe in 2026 we'll be starting that soon.
Okay. All right. So let's get into what the CORI robotic system is actually all about.
Yeah. So this CORI stands for Core Orthopedic Real Intelligence Robotic System. It is made from the company Smith and Nephew. There are multiple different companies which are which make robotics for the orthopedics, and this is one of the top 4 companies in the world, and giving us the peace of mind and the quality what we need for here at our hospital. This robotic system, there are 2 different type of robotic system. One is an image-based robotic system, and the one is a real-time personalized anatomy-based robotic system. The image-based robotic system, which are by some other companies, they need a CT scan or an MRI scan before the surgery, so that the computer knows about the anatomy of the patient. And this robotic system is a real-time anatomy based robotic system, where we actually use a stylus, a pen-like structure, and we map the anatomy of the patient, the knee joint, the bones, the cartilage, everything. And the computer will analyze that data, and it forms a 3D model of the patient's knee. So it is more individualized, and it is more real time. The computer knows exactly how much is the tightness on the inner part of the knee, how much is the tightness on the outer part of the knee. So it's a real-time data which will be translated into a plan, which the surgeon will oversee and execute. The advantage of the robotic system in general over a conventional surgery is, in simple terms, it's like you are using a navigation while you're driving.
Mm,
You can drive, you can go to your destination, you can use a map, you can use your experience, all that is fine and it works most of the times. But in certain situations where you are not sure where to go, or you are not familiar with that terrain, or it's a difficult situation, there, if
mm,
there is a GPS, we'll feel more confident and we'll know exactly where we are going. So the robotic system is something similar. It's a GPS for the surgeon to navigate across difficult scenarios. The real time data what we feed to the computer, the
mhm,
computer will analyze and give it back and tells us, hey, you are going exactly as per your plan, or it will tell us, okay, you are deviating by 1 degree. So we know exactly we are deviating by 1 degree and we can correct it in the real time. This theoretically should lead to longer survival of the implant, a better outcome, lesser pain, and lesser tissue damage to the patient.
mhm,
But because the robotic system is only from last 5 to 10 years, we don't have the long term data. But all the data, whatever we have in last 10 years, that all
mhm,
points towards a long term better outcome for the patient with the newer systems.
mhm. Hmm. Very, very, very important stuff. And of course, when you talk about like 1 degree, to our listeners, that might not be a big deal. But when it comes to precision in surgery, as you say, getting the best possible outcomes, every degree and I guess every little millimeter and centimeter matters, right?
Yes, of course. Yes, yeah. So when a surgeon who has a good experience operates, he can have his presence of mind. He can see what's happening with the anatomy. He can check the tightness. He can consider multiple variables at the same time. But for example, a newer surgeon who is maybe 5 year experienced or something like that, who is good with surgery, but at the same time he cannot calculate the same variables like an experienced surgeon can calculate. In
Mm-hmm.
those situations, definitely the technology comes into help, and it's like one more set of eyes looking at the procedure and telling, okay, everything is going fine. So for a newer surgeon, this is going to be a game changer, and
Mm-hmm.
for an experienced surgeon, this is going to be an add-on to improvise the outcomes for those outliers who are not where we don't get exactly the kind of results where what we want. um, but yeah, majority of the cases, simple knee replacements, whether we use robotics or not, it may not make much of a difference. But for a
Mm-hmm.
challenging case, for a case where there are deformities, where the patient has multiple surgeries in the past, where we are doing the revision surgery, or where we want to replace only the partial knee, for those conditions, the robotic system makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So, tell us a little bit now about the details of how the system actually works.
Okay, so the robotic system has a stand which contains the computer, the infrared cameras, and it has a handle which is more of a tool like a drill or a milling tool with which we cut the bone. The
Mm-hmm.
stand has infrared cameras and it can detect up to 400 times per second every movement we are making. It can detect up to 400 times a second. And the computer which is in the tower, it will calculate. It has algorithm. It has almost 5,000 knee joint pre-fed into the system so that it can match to one of the knees which are in the system, and it can kind of guide the surgeon a tentative plan. um,
Mm-hmm.
and on the patient side is the sensors. So what we do is when we open the knee joint, we put two pins, one to the thigh bone and one side to the leg bone, And these two pins are connected to reflectors, which can reflect the infrared rays which are coming from the tower.
Mm-hmm.
So the computer knows where is the thigh bone, where exactly is the leg bone. And also while doing the procedure, we feed the computer where exactly is the hip joint and the ankle joint. The whole point of aligning the while doing the knee replacement is to make the center of the hip joint, center of the ankle joint, and center of the knee joint in a straight line, so that the weight can transfer from hip to knee to the ankle without any stress. So the computer knows exactly the hip joint, knee joint, and the ankle joint, and it
Mm-hmm.
will tell us, okay, you are exactly in the straight line or you are deviating. So that way, the two systems will the tower and the robotic system will definitely combine together and then give us the input.
Mm-hmm. Very good. All right. So technology is just absolutely amazing. So you're talking about 300 times robotics assisted handpiece, more than 300 times per second, allowing your surgeon to remove damaged surfaces. I mean, this just sounds like, as you've said earlier, quite a game changer, especially for newer surgeons. And every surgeon has to get practice, right? So nobody's perfect coming out of medical school or their residency. So again, let's talk about some of the specific benefits for the physician, which in turn then translates to benefits for the patient as well.
Okay. So for a physician, we know exactly the anatomy and how much we are cutting. If we can control the cut, what we are doing with precision, then uh, we will not be having any surprises after
Mhm.
we complete our cut. We know exactly what is the tension in the knee joint on the inner side and the outer side, when the knee is bent, when the knee is straight, and all this data is seen on the system. And before we actually start doing the procedure, the cutting of the bones, we can virtually do the same procedure on the screen. And the robotic computer will tell us what will be the outcome. If I cut 1 millimeter on the inside and 2 millimeter on the outside, what will be the outcome versus 1.5 millimeter on the inside and 2.5 millimeter on the outside. So
Mhm.
this virtual surgery, which is done before actually we cut, helps us to kind of plan it in a much accurate way, in a precise way, and avoid any surprises while doing the surgery. And for the patient, because the incision is going to be a little bit smaller compared to the traditional surgery, the pain is going to be lesser, the bleeding is going to be lesser. We don't open up the medullary cavity when we are doing the surgery with robotics, unlike the traditional system. So the bleeding will be much lesser compared to traditional system. The pain also is less because we will not be exposing too much by dissecting a lot of soft tissues. So the pain is supposed to be a little bit better compared to traditional system. Bleeding is better, pain is better, outcomes are better. In the short term, definitely they are better. In the long term, we have to wait and see. And it is expected to get better with time. And for partial knee replacement kind of things, this is the only way to go. Even if we do a traditional system, the results are much poor compared to a robotic system, and that is the
Mhm.
reason we did not enter into partial knee replacements at Health City in a big scale.
Mhm.
So, from with the robotic introduction of robotics, we'll be introducing partial knee replacements soon.
Mhm.
And so these are added benefits where we can do more in a precise way and give better outcome.
Mhm. Mhm. Can you tell us a little bit more about what's the difference when you say a partial knee replacement or reconstruction versus a full? What are the differences there?
In total knee replacement, we replace all the cartilage components of the knee joint. like the thigh bone, the leg bone, the kneecap, all those things will be replaced with the implants. In partial knee replacement, it can only be one side of the knee joint. For example, most of the patients have wear and tear on the inner aspect of the knee, but the outer aspect it'll be acceptable or it'll be good. So in those situations, instead of replacing the whole knee joint, we can only replace the inner aspect of the knee, which is worn out. um, and the same way it can be done for the outer aspect of the knee joint, and same way it can be done for the kneecap area of the knee joint. So a partial knee replacement is done only when one part of the knee is involved and rest of the knee is good. The patient has to be selected in a careful way, because if there is damage to all the areas of the knee joint, doing a partial knee replacement will not help the patient. So the surgeon has to check them, do a scan, and sometimes maybe an arthroscopic procedure to make sure that the rest of the area is good and only one part is damaged, and we can replace that.
Wow. Okay. All right. So, innovative approach, patient-centered focus. So again, some of the benefits here, being able to really tailor the procedure to each patient, and advanced robotics and surgery expertise, just really meaning more superior results, and reduces pain, recovery time, creating opportunities for better patient and physician discussions about your surgical options. So do you have the machine now at Health City? I'm assuming it's in East End?
Yes, yeah. So from last 1 month, we are operating with robotics for all the knee replacement.
Okay.
And that's because the precision what we get, you cannot compare with any traditional procedures. The X-rays looks perfect, and we want the best for our patients, and we are doing all the procedures with robotics nowadays.
Wow. How do you train on this system, Doc?
Most of the surgeons who are already doing a joint replacement may not need any special training for this procedure, because this is not like an autonomous robotic system where it does its own thing.
Right.
It's the same thing what the surgeon has been doing over many years or decades. This adds an additional sophisticated tool for the procedure what they're doing. So most of the surgeons do not need any training. But however, I had been to Phoenix, and we had attended a cadaveric workshop where we operate on cadavers to get the hands-on experience, and before we even implement it on the patients.
Cadavers. Wow. Shamari, this stuff is so fascinating. I'm sitting here going, oh, like I didn't think about the fact that that would be a perfect patient to get some practice on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to complain to you afterwards. That's for sure.
In addition to that, the flight simulator, the so-called flight simulator by this company,
Yes.
you have the same software installed in my computer, and I can get myself familiarized with all the buttons and the picture what we see on the computer. Everything is there on the system, and from last 6 months we were kind of going through that, making ourselves more comfortable while doing, so that when we actually get the robot, we will be familiar with the software part of the computer.
Right. Shamari, let's talk about not just how exciting this particular machine is, but I think Health City Cayman Islands has been very, very sort of forward-thinking and progressive in the sense that you're always looking for not just the best physicians, but the best technology as well. How much of a game changer do you think that is from an administrative and patient perspective?
Yeah, and it's usually a sum of all parts, Sandy. So, this specific machine, it's not as if by having this machine, we think we'll get additional patients coming in just specifically for the machine. You may, but it's just adding to the quality of what Health City has. We already, and you would know, because sometimes when you go up there, you see a lot of patients from the Caribbean and elsewhere. We've already solidified our brand within the Caribbean, within certain countries within Central America, just due to direct airlift and such. It becomes easier to convert patients that way. Um, that are coming now to Health City for everything from orthopedics to emergency services to um, you have obviously cardiac, neuro, urology. We're getting that shortly because prior to when we had urology before, we had patients coming to us for those types of um, specialties as well. So the
Mm-hmm.
fact that we're adding this is just another tool. And Dr. Naranjan would have mentioned that this is a tool that he and his colleagues are using to help to enhance. But we already had a robotic tool for
Yeah.
orthopedics previously,
Mm-hmm.
which would have been one of the cutting edge areas. So persons coming to us now over time, over the last 10 years, know that they're getting the highest quality of outcomes, but they're also getting the latest and greatest in most parts when it comes to technology as well. So, I think of it obviously taking my Health City hat off and putting my marketing hat on. When you have products and services, you have to consistently research and innovate in order to keep your competitive edge. And this is just a part of us having that continuous effort to bring the best. And the fact that we're in a country that has a small population, and yes, we're able to add to that population by the medical tourists that are coming in. If we were looking at these investments as this needs to pay off by next year or the year after, we wouldn't have 80% of the equipment we have. We have a radiotherapy center, which when you look at how many radiotherapy centers you should have per hundreds of thousands of people, looking at it on the face of it, it would make sense to have that here, but you can't have a fourth of a radiotherapy machine. So we make the investments knowing that it's the right thing to do. It's going to give us the best outcomes. It's going to fill gaps within the Caymanas as well as within the Caribbean and some places in Central America. And even by gaps, those places may not have, but even if they don't have, a lot of times they can't afford to get into the US medical system. So we become the solution for them. And this is just another enhancement to help us to continue to be the quality provider that we are. And it's interesting because when you get patients from the US, for instance, obviously a lot of countries go to the US for medical services. And when you have Americans and Canadians talking about the fact that the physicians, as well as the service, as well as the outcomes, are as good or better than what they would have been able to get in the US and in Canada, it really solidifies why we do what we do and why we keep increasing the bar to make sure that whomever comes to us knows they're getting the best service and outcome possible.
Now, we've got a listener who is sending a message via WhatsApp. Folks, don't forget you can call in as well if you have any questions, 936-2626, or you can WhatsApp us. So she said she's got a friend who, needs to have knee surgery, but is afraid to do so. So she just sent them to the link for him to watch to say, hey, friend, the surgeon's on. He doesn't look scary. What do you say to patients, Dr. Narajan, who are afraid? And, people are afraid of all sorts of medical things, but they're afraid of knee surgery. What do you say to them when it comes to the outcomes of the procedure?
Yeah, see, it is natural to have a fear for any procedures. Even I don't want to go and have a simple injection. I don't want to. It's scary. It's painful. We are afraid of the pain. We are afraid of the outcomes. We are afraid of the whole situation, the medical bills, all those things. So it is
Yes.
natural to be afraid, but at the same time, we should also think where we are now. If our life is being pulled down because of pain, if we are not able to do activities which we love to do, if I'm not getting a good night's sleep, then we need to ask a question. So which is more scary, living like this and suffering through all this with the pain and making the whole body go a little bit weaker day by day, and getting hypertension and diabetes, or you want to take that small risk and then do the procedure so that you can go back to
Mm,
exercises and maybe get back your life. So when you weigh the benefit and the risk ratio, and if the
mhm.
benefits outweigh the risk, then discuss with your surgeon what are the benefits, what are the risk. Each procedure, each patient will have different amount of risk. So
Yeah.
the surgeon will be able to give you an informed picture of what is the risk you're dealing with. And after discussion, if the benefits outweigh the risk, it's better to go for the procedure,
Mhm.
what the patient has been advised.
Yeah.
So yeah, and knee replacement it's not a new procedure. It's not. It has been there for decades, and the results are constantly getting better and better. So, on an average, 90% of the knee patients do well.
Mhm.
10% may have some amount of pain and discomfort, and it's only maybe 1 or 2% who will have serious complications in the form of infection or clot in the leg veins or something like that. But most of the patients do well after the knee replacement, but it also depends on what stage they are getting into the procedure. If
Mhm.
they have significant involvement of the knee, if there is arthritis, then the procedure will make a big difference. But if they do the procedure a bit early, when they can manage conservatively, then the results will be poor. At the same time, if they come too late and then do the procedure, all the muscles would have got wasted, and it takes a long time to get back all the strength and then translate into recovery. So it is
Mm.
that sweet spot in between doing it early or doing it late. That is where the results are optimal, and that can be discussed with your physician, who can tell you this is the right time to do. And
And
even when they come to us, it's not like we advise
yes,
them surgery straight away.
correct.
We manage conservatively as long
Mhm.
as we can, or we think it is optimal for the patient.
Yes.
When they are unable to respond to the conservative measures, then only the surgical options come into the picture. So don't walk into health city office thinking that okay, doctor will tell them to do the surgery. No, all the doctors here, we are going to start with conservative options and see if it
Mhm.
works.
Yep.
Sometimes patients would have tried conservative options with a different doctor, and they come to me for the first time. So I tell
Mhm.
them, see, you might have tried all these things, but you're coming to me for the first time. I want you to give maybe another 3 months or 1 month or 5 months a conservative trial so
Mhm.
that I can be satisfied that you don't have any other option. And then we
Right.
can go for the procedure.
Yes.
Yeah, Sandy. So that's exactly what I was going to say. So, if the gentleman wants to come in for a consult, it's not as if you're going to go straight, you're going to wheel you straight
Yeah.
into the operating theater. You can have the
That's always
conversations.
the last resort.
You can talk to Dr. Naranjan. Like you said, he has the models. He can show you exactly what's wrong and what's happening. And even if Dr. Naranjan, after conservative treatment, says, I think the time is now to have surgery, you still have the option to say, you know what, I'll tough it out and not go for surgery if you don't want to. And just to mention that my father was one of those, stubborn, us men,
Mhm.
stubborn men, going through the pain, right, and not wanting to go into a doctor's office until it got to the point where he had to have that first knee surgery. And he had the knee surgery, and the relief he had from it, the other knee wasn't doing so well. And a few years later, he himself then marched into the doctor's office and said, I think I need the other surgery now. And sure enough, he did. So he had two knees done over a series of years, and he would have been your prototype. I don't want to go to the doctor, would have been suffering, not wanting to go to the doctor for
Mhm.
many years, and actually went through it and now feels so much better, and is able to get out there and the walking and the working in the backyard with the shed that he has, and the such. And he wasn't as good as he should have been, because even with, I think it was the first knee, he was supposed to give it some rest, and he still was trying to get into the backyard working and tweaked it a little bit. But he was just feeling so much better based on the surgery. So
Mhm.
it's individually based, but definitely at least come in for a consult. and then go from there. I would suggest
Mhm.
as well.
Yep, absolutely. And I think the conservative approach, patients appreciate. I mean, even myself, I've been to you for that left knee pain and other things going on in the neck, and it's amazing the things as we get older that start to degenerate, and there are things that we can do to assist our body. So physiotherapy, making sure that you're strengthening areas that are prone to issues or that specifically to you are starting to show that you're going to have some future issues. There are things that you can do to kind of either delay or offset or potentially even stop the necessity of having surgery down the line. So when you go into Dr. Naranjan, I can speak from personal experience here now, folks. He's going to refer you to other specialists. He's going to say, what are your physiotherapy options? Let's get you into physio and see how we can strengthen that area, how we can support it properly. When we did the analysis of my knee, I was shocked to find out that my kneecap isn't where it's supposed to be. And Dr. Naranjan said, well, that is something that, going to physiotherapy can correct and help up to a certain point. So, yeah, I mean, it's amazing that the physicians, again, really take their time and do a personalized approach for every single patient, encouraging some lifestyle changes. Of course, one of the big things that we can all do when it comes to orthopedics and our joints is to lose weight. That's our biggest sort of Achilles heel, if you will, and that we're all carrying a little bit too many pounds. I was watching something, Dr. Naranjan, I'm actually going to send you the link. I like to share these things where this, I can't remember if she's a physician because I haven't finished watching it yet, but she was talking about the impact of weight in our joints. So she said, you gain 5 or 10 pounds and you think, oh, that's not a big deal. It's only 10 pounds. But she said the force of that 10 pounds on the joints is more like 100 pounds. And I was like, oh my God, really? And it really just shows you that those micro amounts, although in our minds, we think 5 pounds, 10 pounds is not a big deal, it really is a significant amount of extra load for your joints to have to work with.
On the other hand, you can also think the other way. Losing 5 pounds, you may think it's not a big deal. Losing that 5 pound is going to make a huge difference. Sometimes when I want the patient to lose some weight, I tell them, you just lose 5 pounds and come back, and then I'll do the surgery. The reason is not that I want to see the patient lose 5 pounds when he actually needs 50 pounds of weight loss. But that's not the reason. The reason is change in the mindset. The person who can make an effort towards losing weight and trying to get better has a better mindset compared to someone, okay, oh, I've given up, nothing can happen. So that change in mindset is going to translate into a better outcome for any surgical procedures. So sometimes when I'm not sure should I go ahead or not, whether the patient's mindset is good or not, I tell them, you lose say 2 pounds or 5 pounds, and then come back and tell me, okay, I did all these things and now I'm 5 pounds lighter. So that the outcome is always both physical and psychological. A small effort, what you do in your life, in changing the lifestyle, all those things will help in the psychological aspect of healing. And the physical aspect, yeah, every pound matters. Even if you lose 2 pounds, it's going to make a big difference to the joint.
Good to know. All right, folks. So I know we're coming into the holiday season, and right now is not the time to try to convince you to lose any weight, but restraint. We can still enjoy the holidays and exercise a little bit of restraint. You don't have to go in excess every single day coming into Christmas. So maybe reserve Christmas Day to have a little bit extra. That turtle meat is going to be on the plate there, Shamari, but leading up to that, be a little bit more mindful of your diet, get some exercise. What's the best sort of exercise when it comes to the knees, Doc, that we can do? Is walking the best?
Yeah. See, people who have knee arthritis or who have maybe early stages of knee issues, we cannot tell them to go for some high intensity training, all those things. And neither I'll tell them, okay, you have to go for a walk. Because doing only exercise, one type of exercise repeatedly, can cause repetitive injuries. and it's very difficult to kind of walk for say 15,000 steps or something like that in a day. Instead of that, if we mix and match different type of exercises which are non-impact based exercises, which are more cyclical based exercises, then the result will be far better than doing only one type of exercise. For example, I tell them to do walking, cycling, elliptical trainers, weight exercises where you can push, pull things in the gym. If you have resistance bands, you can use them to tone up the muscles. You can do all water-based exercises, swimming, pool, aerobics, all those things will definitely help. So all these exercises, when you mix and match, the impact falling on the knee will be less, and at the same time, they get a good cardio. They burn a lot of calories, and that will help in overall health. But for someone who doesn't want to do any exercises and then they just want to go for a walk, I suggest okay, at least you go for a walk. But yeah, mixing and matching different type of non-impact exercises will definitely help.
Yeah. And when you go to physio folks, I mean, obviously depending on your physiotherapist, they'll make an assessment of what you're able to do and they start you off slow. I mean, when I first started, it was just like there are things that you can do where you just lie and sit and you're just focusing on contracting the muscle that then supports the knee. And, nothing difficult there. You just got to know how to focus in and how to do that. Of course, Dr. Niranjan, I told you I love pickleball, which is not the easiest thing on the knee. And the advice that he gave me was so good because I'm thinking some of these other things, I may not necessarily want to do. Or he said, listen, life is also about enjoying, the things that you want to do. So if pickleball is your thing, do it in some degree of moderation, wear your knee brace. But if that's what's going to get you moving and you enjoy it, then, do it cautiously. So I've been putting on my knee brace when I get on the pickleball court for sure and wearing proper shoe support. Jamari, yeah. I'm still waiting on you to join me, by the way.
Oh, all right. I'm coming. I'm out of practice. I haven't played in like 2 weeks, but I'm undefeated in my house. So maybe I'll go across there and see if I can keep my streak alive.
Yeah, challenge on. Sounds like a challenge there. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming back. We did a little makeup session this morning, again, about this robotic
video.
system.
Do you have the video, Sandy? The video.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. Hold on one second. I keep forgetting about the video. My apologies.
Dr. Niranjan, you're so good that she forgets about the video.
Absolutely. All right. Hold on one second. Let me cue this up. Yeah, we had some issues the other day where I couldn't even download. The internet's been a little bit quirky lately, but hold on. We're getting to it. So in the meantime, can I ask, is this going to be available just at Health City East End for the time foreseeable future?
Yeah, for the time being, we have only one robot, and it's difficult to kind of move that robot from center to center. So for the time being, we have placed it in the East End, and we're doing this procedure in the East End. But patients, they can have the consultation, they can discuss, they can plan everything in the Kamana Bay Hospital. And then only for the procedure, they can come to the East End. And then further follow-up again can be done at the Kamana Bay Hospital, which is closer for them.
Okay.
So Sandy, it's just making sure that we make everything as easy as possible.
Yes.
So everything can be done in Kamana Bay. Now, obviously, if you're in East End or Town, like my father says, I'm not turning right when I come out that road. I'm turning left. I don't care if you're Kamana Bay. I'm turning left. So for all of our Towners that want to still come to East End, now obviously we're there for all your consults and the such, but the fact that most of the and we'll be able to explain this as well further on Tuesday, your major surgeries as well, and not speaking specifically about orthopedics, that you will need to have extended time for recovery in the hospital will be up east. More of your daycare procedures in and out and the such will be at Kamana Bay. But we'll be able to explain those differences as well. But at the end of the day, if you have any issue and you're in East End, you can come see us there, or you're in and around Kamana Bay, you can come see us there, because as we would talk about, triaging will be able to happen at any location. And then if there needs to be other things done from an elective perspective, meaning non-emergency, because obviously we would deal with it right then and there. If the better place to do it would be in East End, then we'll make those arrangements, and vice versa. Okay,
all right,
perfect.
all right. Let's have a look at the video here. Very exciting. Awesome.
In the provision of world-class healthcare, every advancement matters. At Health City Cayman Islands, innovation has always been one of the hallmarks of our healthcare services. Today, we're proud to introduce the CORI robotic system, a groundbreaking addition to our Orthopedic Center of Excellence. This robotics-assisted technology is changing how knee replacements are performed. The CORI system enables surgeons to create a detailed, real-time 3D model of a patient's knee, allowing for an unmatched level of accuracy and customization during surgery.
So this is the base of the machine. It works with an infrared camera that emits infrared radiation. We put infrared reflectors on certain specific instruments of the system that help us recreate not only the deformity of the patient, but also in real time, the virtual surgery that the doctors perform on the screen here prior to committing to anything on the patient. So we do virtual surgery on the screen, and once everything looks perfect, then we replicate that in the patient's anatomy. In reality, it's creating a real-time, immediate GPS, if you will, triangulating the patient's anatomy with our instruments and our implants, so the doctors can make a much more precise job.
So the system is very precise. It leads to less human error. So you can be more precise as a surgeon.
Unlike traditional methods, CORI doesn't require a preoperative CT scan. This means less exposure to radiation for the patient and faster pre-surgical planning. The system's ability to guide precise movements during surgery ensures optimal implant positioning, reducing recovery time, and improving long-term outcomes.
The traditional system usually are excellent and they give very good results, but once in a while there are outliers which can be avoided with the advanced system like this.
This is more than just advanced technology. It's about enhancing the patient experience, giving individuals with osteoarthritis or other knee conditions a smoother recovery and a better quality of life.
It's something that I see as the future of joint replacements.
At Health City Cayman Islands, being at the forefront of patient care means embracing tools like the CORI system to deliver the best possible outcomes. Together, we're redefining what's possible in orthopedic surgery.
All right, so quite an impressive video there, and of course, quite an impressive orthopedic team.
Definitely. So we're just excited to consistently add to the quality of what we're doing at Health City. And once again, we're very proud and happy to have colleagues and like Dr. Naranjan and team across the board. And now that we have our new tool in the CORI, we look forward to helping a lot of patients, not only in the Cayman Islands, but across the Caribbean, Central America, Canada, etc. And also look forward to, in the new year and coming up to Christmas, being able to give more gifts to the people of the Cayman Islands.
Now, we do have someone who's inquiring about cost. Tell us, obviously, I know it might vary from patient to patient, but cost overall for this type of procedure, what you can get done at Health City versus other facilities, both on island and around the world. Shamari, let's talk about that for a minute.
No, definitely. So the great thing about the Cayman Islands is that we have a shift so standard health insurance fees, which means it's the most that can be charged for specific procedures to the insurance company. And the great thing about Health City is that other facilities may charge more than the shift that the patient has to pay out of pocket. We only charge the shift rates to our patients that have insurance coverage. So even though we have all of these additional technology and technological advances, you're not paying more, and in many cases, you're paying less for additional expertise and technology, which is unique. Usually, if you look at a private facility in the Caribbean and elsewhere, you're going to be paying more, just using as an example, you're going to be paying more than you would pay at a government institution. At Health City, that isn't the case here in the Cayman Islands, based on the way the rules have been laid, which is fine with us. And if you look at the US, our procedures would be a fraction of the cost. So just giving example in round numbers, just because some of the procedures, depending on the ailment and the type of procedure, there'll be different prices. But a knee replacement, for instance, in Florida may cost you anywhere between, at places that would be your bargain deals, maybe 45,000. Places that are more expensive, maybe 60,000, 80,000. And at Health City, our knee replacement would be less than 20,000, most 22,000, right? As an example. So it's going to be a third of the cost if you were paying out of pocket, for instance, or a fourth of the cost, because our out of pocket costs for self pay, we even reduce the cost so that people obviously would be able to afford it. So we're anywhere between at least a half less than the US to sometimes 25% of the cost, or 75% less than the US. And sometimes we're 80% less than the US, depending on procedure and the such, as an example. But here in the Cayman Islands, due to the shift rates, with all of the technology, with our physicians, with our facility, we are the same or less than it would be at other facilities. And I know, especially because we have a lot of people who come from elsewhere, at times they have a hard time rationalizing the fact that it is going to cost the same or less, based on, you see this beautiful facility at Camana Bay, you hear about all this technology, and you think that, well, then it must cost more. And that's part of the model, right? Where Dr. Shetty says a solution isn't a solution unless it's affordable. So that's a part of the core of what we're doing. Everything we're investing isn't about increasing the cost. It's about making it more efficient, and it's about over time reducing costs as well. And that's why a different program in the new year, we'll be talking about health insurance costs and our dream now for the future in regard to, yes, we arrested costs for those major procedures that usually would have been done in Florida and elsewhere in the US. Now we see the issue with scaling of health insurance cost premiums, right? And how can we arrest that? Because if we don't have a solution for that, what's going to happen is eventually employers won't be able to pay these 20% increases, 15%, 10% increases year after year. And then you'll start to see high deductible plans, or everybody's going to go for the lowest plan, which the preventative medicine and the diagnostics, patients pay a lot more out of pocket, and therefore then they don't go in. We want to see that reversed. You're actually, going in for preventative and for wellness, and that way you catch things early, as well as, you'll be able to get on the right track and have a healthier population over decades, and also reduce the cost when it comes to the medical burden in the Cayman Islands.
All right, folks. So hopefully that answers that question. Miss Evangeline, good morning. Joining us from the Bahamas, says, I can't wait for my next knee replacement in February. So this is one of your existing patients. Sounds like she's having.
And Dr. Naranjan actually did her knee. So this is one of Dr. Naranjan's patients listening all the way from the Bahamas.
Oh, beautiful.
I used to tease her. She came with a bow leg, and her last name is Bowleg.
Oh,
So I was teasing her that you're no more bow leg, you're a straight leg now.
So you might have to change your last name.
yes, Miss Evangeline, you might have to change that last name after the surgery. Well, that's so amazing to hear that she has had a really, really good experience. Hopefully we can hear from more patients soon, Shamari. Let's do some patient interviews
No,
because,
definitely.
I ran into a couple months back, I was there doing some blood work and stuff. I ran into a lady. I stopped in my favorite eatery when I'm out there. Other than the cafe in the hospital is Blue, what's it called now? Blue Rock?
Blue Rock. Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I stopped in there because I love their ceviche. They have their ceviches to die for. So I
Right,
stopped
which is the same Chef Shadi, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same one
Yeah.
that provides food
Yeah.
to the hospital. Absolutely. So I went in there and I had some ceviche and I was sitting there minding my own business as I often am doing. And this lady said to me, Sandra, is that you? And I said, yes, ma'am, it is. She said, oh my goodness. And she was coming from the hospital as well, I think with a friend or her daughter. And she said, I just had this, she actually did hip replacement surgery. She said, I just did this hip replacement surgery. And you know what convinced me to do it? I knew I had to do it, but I heard a young lady on your show. And I thought to myself, wow, if she can do it and she had such an amazing outcome, it just gave me the courage and the information that I needed to go in and see the orthopedic surgeon. And I got it done. And she was just I think maybe a few weeks post-op, and she looked amazing. And she said she'd never felt so much better in years. And she was just doing fantastic. So she was thanking me for having that lady on. I said, well, that's Shamari and his team. When you hear it directly from the patients who've been through the procedure and they can share their experiences with you, it can also help to alleviate some of your fears and some of your concerns. So we definitely will have more, firsthand accounts of these procedures. So thank you, Ms. Evangeline, for your testimonial this morning as well. All right. Well, Shamari, thank you very, very much. Have a good weekend. And we will see you on Tuesday. Dr. Naranjan, thank you so much again for coming back.
I will have this on Tuesday. I'm putting it into the universe. We'll win again.
Yes. All right. On your way to Super Bowl. So thank you both so much for coming back on the program today.
Thank you, Dr. Naranjan.
Thank you for having us.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
All righty. Okay, folks. Good morning. 8:31. Let's go ahead and play some news. I'm going to cue up our news. We've been doing this news segment, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that and media here this morning as well. But here are your morning headlines for this beautiful Friday morning. Good morning. Here are your morning headlines for Friday, December 13th.
Further developments today in the tragic case of 2-year-old Olicity Powell. Police Commissioner Kurt Walton has revealed that forensic evidence indicates the toddler was deceased before her body entered the waters off Cayman Brac last year. The revelations came during a Thursday morning press conference at police headquarters. 3 individuals have been taken into custody in connection with the case. While police have not officially released their identities, sources indicate the arrests include the child's mother, Fanny Dixon Powell, along with Devin Wright and Chantel Virginia McLean. The suspects, described by authorities as 2 women and 1 man, face potential charges of murder, child neglect, and being accessories after the fact. Commissioner Walton confirmed these individuals were the last known to have contact with the child before her death. In what investigators describe as a significant development, Dixon Powell had previously been outspoken in her criticism of the police investigation, publicly asserting her daughter had been murdered. What initially began as a missing person case, prompting widespread community search efforts, has now transformed into a full murder investigation. The case file is being forwarded to the Director of Public Prosecutions for review.
Breaking news from West Bay, where police have made 2 arrests following an armed robbery at a convenience store early Thursday morning. The incident occurred shortly before 5:20 a.m. at the intersection of West Church Street and Town Hall Road, where a masked assailant entered the store armed with what witnesses described as a silver handgun. According to police reports, the suspect threatened a store employee and demanded cash before fleeing with a cash register tray. Fortunately, no injuries were reported and no shots were fired during the incident. Witnesses provided a detailed description of the suspect. Approximately 6'3", tall with a slim build and brown complexion, notably walking with a slouched posture. At the time of the robbery, he was wearing a jacket, black sweatpants, a black mask, and sneakers. Following their investigation, officers arrested a 34-year-old West Bay resident at an address in Boddentown on suspicion of robbery. During the operation, police also recovered a vehicle believed to be connected to the incident. The investigation led to a second arrest, a 28-year-old Georgetown resident who was detained in connection with separate serious offenses, including burglary.
Paul Murugan Paulraj, a 31-year-old man who resides in Georgetown, appeared in court Thursday charged with rape following an alleged attack at a West Bay Road shopping plaza earlier this week. The incident occurred shortly after midnight on Tuesday when a woman was reportedly assaulted in Paulraj's vehicle parked near Snooze Lane. Police say the victim and the accused had no prior connection before the incident. Officers responded to the scene following reports of a serious indecent assault and arrested Paulraj. He was formally charged with rape and made his first court appearance on Thursday. The accused has been remanded in custody and is scheduled to appear in court again on Friday, December 13th.
47-year-old Georgetown resident Harry Swaby has died following injuries sustained in a serious two-vehicle collision last month. Swaby passed away yesterday at the hospital, where he had been receiving treatment since the November 24th crash at the intersection of Goring Avenue and Walkers Road. Swaby worked as an environmental specialist for the Cayman Islands government. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, RCIPS, has launched a fatal collision investigation and is appealing to the public for witnesses. Anyone who may have witnessed the incident is urged to contact the Georgetown Police Station. The RCIPS expresses sincere condolences to the family of the deceased, police officials said in a statement.
A local private school is receiving emergency government assistance amid significant financial challenges. Premier Juliana O'Connor-Connolly announced in Parliament today that Truth for Youth School will receive an emergency grant of $100,000 to address serious financial difficulties and declining enrollment. The situation has become critical, with the Premier revealing a stark 19% decrease in student numbers since the start of this academic year. Some classrooms are now severely under capacity, with grades 3 through 5 averaging just 6 students per class. Truth for Youth has been undergoing some serious financial challenges for some time now. Without this intervention, the school faced the possibility of implementing salary cuts and reducing staff. This emergency funding follows a previous grant made in 2023 to support educational institutions across the islands. The current $100,000 grant was approved under Section 11.5 of the Public Management Finance Act 2020 revision.
DART's strategic ownership of Premier Caribbean hospitality properties has enabled the company to offer valuable cross-training opportunities for the second consecutive year, with employees from both the Cayman Islands and Anguilla participating in international exchanges. The latest initiative saw 2 Caymanians, Isaiah Hurlston, a recent graduate of the DART Hospitality Training Program, and Valerie Walters, a PBX operator at Kimpton Seafire Resort Plus Spa, complete a 2-week training experience at Four Seasons Resort and Residences Anguilla in November. Simultaneously, 4 professionals from the Anguillan Resort spent a week in Grand Cayman during October, receiving training at various properties, including Hampton by Hilton Grand Cayman and Kimpton Seafire Resort Plus Spa. The Anguillan contingent comprised Darren Connor, chef, Mario Connor, Assistant Director of Housekeeping, Davina Hodge, Assistant Food and Beverage Outlet Manager, and Roxanne Webster, Front Desk Supervisor. For participants like Davina Hodge, who spent time at Ms. Piper's Kitchen Plus Garden at Hampton by Hilton Grand Cayman, the experience proved transformative.
Thank you for tuning in, and please have a safe weekend. Do you have breaking news that you would like to share with CMR? Contact us on 324-1612 or tips at Cayman Mall Road. All right. Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing, honey child? So I was reminded this morning, big shout out to someone who was looking at the court list, that I'm in court today. Didn't even remember, honey child. So I will be there. This is just reminding you guys, I still have one more. Hopefully next year is gonna, I want to get these things done and over with. I'm so sick and tired of the court. One more criminal case. This is the one where John Felder ran to the police complaining that my attempts to settle a case as instructed by the judge amounted to a criminal offense. And apparently the DPP's office agreed with him. What a hot mess. Anywho, I've got that to deal with. I guess we'll have a trial at some point next year. Only God knows. I just go with the flow. What else can I do? Not stressing myself out. The most stressful of all my court cases was actually the first court case. I was telling someone about it the other day, where I was accused of stealing a dog. That was really stressful because it was the first one. I didn't know what to expect, totally new to me. And also, like, stealing a dog, I'm like, stealing a dog is like stealing somebody's child. I would never do that. I couldn't believe the accusations. And, police have a lot of time, and the DPP's office has a lot of time for me. So that's how it got kicked off, dog theft. That got thrown out. The vast majority of them have gotten thrown out over the years. Anyway, this one moves forward. I'm assuming there'll be a trial at some point. My lawyer is very, very busy, so they need to try to sort everything out. But I don't know. What a hot mess. I just show up, and I'm like, yes, Your Honor, I'm here. I'm just here to tell the truth, and I hope that the jury will see the truth for what it is. But anywho, we will get there. And then the other case, which is the Court of Appeal case, that's supposed to be in May. So that's going to happen after the election. So that's a really, really big one in terms of, legal arguments and, potential impact on everybody's freedom of speech, right? So that one's going to be very, very exciting to see the outcome of as well. Good morning to Miss Flora. Good morning, Fresh Joe. Miss Pat is here. Damaris, lots of usual suspects. Mr. Verdon Terry says, good morning. I spent 52 days in Health City due to contracting MRSA following knee replacement. Dr. Naranjan saved my knee. Naranjan saved my life. Wow. Yes, so amazing. Miss Evangeline also saying, I just love the staff and services. Simply the best. Hi, Dr. Naranjan. So thank you so much, Miss Evangeline, joining us in the Bahamas. Beautiful Bahamas. So we have a lot of people, a lot of patients, by the way, who go to Health City from the Bahamas. A lot of times when I go there, I see them there and they're getting transported, back and forth and stuff as well. I hear the accent. I hear the Bahamian accent. So morning, Lavana. So listen, lots going on around us. Of course, we try to keep you guys abreast and updated. So someone sent me something last night. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this. Let me just see here. Okay. My apologies. So, the first thing is, someone sent me an article yesterday that they said was in the Compass. Now I don't read the Compass, but thank you for sharing it with me. I appreciate it. And their question was, apparently the Compass is going to be launching some sort of a streaming service. And we're still yet to see the exact form that it's going to take. I think I have an idea, because a lot of the big stations like ABC and those guys, they have streaming services. So basically you go online, sometimes a segment might be live in the moment, but a lot of it is like on loop, like on repeat. So it'll be like, okay, this story will play at 8 in the morning. It'll play again at midday. It'll play at 6 o'clock. And then you go on the site and, sometimes you can do it on demand. So you select the videos that you want, but it's a lot of, obviously it takes a lot of resources, both money and personnel to do this. And so this is where they think, the world is going in terms of technology. And I think sort of, Cayman tends to be a little bit behind the pace with the pickup of certain things. So it'll be interesting to see how you guys like this feature or not. But what was interesting is this person sent me this story that they posted where they said that they had 300 people apply for jobs because last week they posted something saying they were looking to recruit for this new venture. And they had over 300 people. It says more than 300 people have applied for TV jobs at Compass Media following last week's announcement of a nationwide search for television news talent. Now, I find this very hard to believe. I'm not trying to call the Compass dishonest, but I do find it very hard to believe that over 300 people applied. And my next question would be, where are they from? Those are more than 300 people in the Cayman Islands. I'm not even sure that many people in the Cayman Islands knew that there was a recruitment drive happening. So I do find that a little bit, again, hard to believe. And then the most shocking part about this is if more than 300 people applied, then in the article, it says that they're going to be extending the deadline. If you had that many applicants, can somebody explain to me what would be the need to extend the deadline? Over 300 people is a lot of people. You're not hiring over 300 people. You're not even hiring a quarter of that. The Compass has always had a lot of staff complements, and I don't know how many they have currently. And some of the people that they have now worked in television before. So they've got Rejma. They have, who else is still there that works in television? Where Andrel left. He's now in government. I don't know who else from the TV days, but they've got a few people already that they could pull into that area and potentially utilize. So over 300 applicants, I'm shocked that they've had such an amazing response. And to extend the deadline after you've had such an amazing response, as somebody said yesterday, that doesn't really pass the sniff test. Like something doesn't quite smell right about that story, but that's what they said. So there you have it. So now I want to put the call out. If you're a Caymanian, because I don't know who those 300 people are, and you are interested in television, perhaps this is your opportunity. Go and contact the Compass. Go and have a look at, wherever you can apply for this job, and send in your CV, send in, your credentials, whatever, send in your interests. No doubt they'll be needing some veteran experienced individuals. So maybe we'll see a resurgence of people like Miss Mona Lisa Mead. Maybe we'll see Hurlston. What's her first name again? Oh, Lord, I can't think of her first name. But you guys know what I'm talking about. Sheena Hurlston. Maybe she might want to throw her hat back in. We've got April Cummings. Well, she's over at Radio Cayman, but she has a certain expertise in this area as well. So we want to help them out. We want to get the best Caymanians on the job. So if you're interested in TV media, which is very, very different, please, by all means, go and submit your application. You can be number 305, honey child. Buenos dias to Miss Alba. Good morning to Miss Darlene. Hello, Paul, joining us from the beautiful island of Bermuda. Okie dokie. All right. So yesterday, a couple things going on. Parliament in session. They're debating a lot of different things. It seems to me that there's some interesting bills that have come forward. One was about limiting the number of permits. Somebody says you'll have company in court today. Let me see who else is in court. Hold on. Let me have a look at the list. Hold on. Who is that? Oh, apparently William Gonzalez Baden, pilot, is also in court this morning. Aw. Yes, sir. Maybe I'll get to see him and I'll ask him, what were you thinking, dude? 2 wives? Hot mess. Who else is in court? Or that Salvin guy is in court again today. Is this for his sentencing now? Ooh, I should go to that. Oh, that's at 10 o'clock. Might have to leave out early today, honey. Chill, I'll get there early. All right. Thank you so much for sending me the court list. I don't always get to look, but okay. So oh, okay. I'll have to read that long message here in a second. So yes, there was a couple things in news. So Parliament's in session. I saw that they were trying to do something which I thought was quite interesting, where they want to limit the number of status grants to 30 per year. I wonder if that's includes the ones that cabinet gives out, or is that just the ones that administratively are given out? Like, I need some clarity on that. You know, the weird thing about it is, listen, we need a comprehensive plan to sort out immigration. Doing it in a piecemeal fashion has never served this country well. And so I don't really think that is I don't really think that that is. Oh. Sorry. Yeah, okay. I don't really think that that is the suggestion is a proper fix. It's like, you know, you've got a dam, you know what a dam is with the water and everything. The dam is huge. And we keep trying to stick little band-aids to fix holes in the dam. And to me, that doesn't make any sense. What you need is a comprehensive plan, right? You need to think about the growth of your country, where we're going, what we're doing, and what we comprehensively want to do. So this suggestion of, you know, on the face of it, it's like, okay, we can think about it, but realistically, what we need to do is take on immigration as a whole. And remember now, this government, the PAC government, which all these people in there now were members of at one point, they had put forward they put together a review committee headed by Mr. Steve Macfield, and he says that he's delivered his report to them, and all now there has been no movement. In fact, if my memory serves me correctly, he has essentially said that they have, you know, denied his report. So what's the point? Like, I again, I'm at a loss for how this works. You know, you have a report, you make people get together, spend lots and lots of time looking at immigration holistically, making changes, making suggestions, about what changes could comprehensively happen. And then you dismiss them and you ignore the report. I'm like, why? You know, you made these people waste their time. So how exactly is this going to work? I don't know. All I know is it just doesn't make any sense. So, you know, this suggestion is kind of like, okay, a lot of these motions that were brought yesterday were brought by Chris Saunders, because of course, he's now pretending like he's doing some work. Good morning, caller.
Morning.
Hey, morning.
I hear that Sandy is at a loss, so I've come to rescue you.
Tell me.
You know what a motion is, right?
Well, it's as good as nothing, really.
That's right. That's the problem. And the public needs to understand that they're not proposing to do anything about it. Mm-hmm. All they're proposing is to think about it. That's what the word, when you make a motion, your only thing the motion is asking the government to do is to consider whether it should be done. And the way that politicians think is they could say, okay, I thought about it, but okay. And then it'll just hang there and hang there and hang there and nothing will happen. That's the disingenuousness of what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't think they should put a fixed number like 30 on it. I think it should be in relation to our growth, population growth, meaning how many Caymanians are being born, the net change in the population. Because otherwise you're going to be tinkering with this bill constantly. You're not going to have some formula that stands the test of time, which I've already articulated on this program. And yes, I agree with what you're saying, that we need to deal with it comprehensively. They're not prepared to do that. I can't say that I know all of the specific reasons why that's the case. But if we leave immigration alone and we do not address it, the Caymanian people are going to suffer terribly. And this situation of inflation is a consequence of the policies of where people could come to Cayman and buy unlimited amounts of land. Because what's actually happening there is that stupidity is happening around the world, and people are running from it. And so what they're doing is they're taking their money and they're coming to Cayman and they're banking the money in the form of land. But what that means is that since there's a fixed supply of land, it's inflationary. And the consequence is that Caymanians aren't able to afford land. Now I hear Caymanians saying that, okay, what we need to do is we need to say that only Caymanians could buy land, or one of those flavors. The problem with taking that particular approach is that the value of the land will collapse. And that'll have a substantial effect on the economy. So what we need to do is to sit down and really think about how we get ourselves, first of all, out of the financial predicament that we're putting ourselves in, because anything we do will impact that financial situation, and it will, let's see, we need to have enough wiggle room to handle any fluctuation that may occur as a result of policy changes. What this current government is seeking to do, and I heard the Premier express that she wants financial independence from the UK. I was one of the persons who advocated vigorously for the limit of 10% on the debt service ratio to be placed on politicians. Because politicians tend to just simply spend and spend and spend like money is going out of style.
And right now, there's a lot of that happening, unfortunately.
Well, because of what she has said, I am now thinking that constitutional provision that puts this mechanism into place needs to be amended so that any change in the legislation that results from this constitutional provision needs to be ratified by the public in a referendum, so that politicians can't just willy-nilly change these constraints that are placed on them.
Yeah.
Because the financial indiscipline that's taking place is not going to help us.
Precisely.
So, I mean, I just want to say that you're right. Immigration needs to be dealt with comprehensively, but we need to think very carefully about what our policies will be. And we need to think carefully about what the consequences of those policies will be, because we're going to have to ask ourselves, can we live with those consequences? And we need to do it quickly.
Yes. Thank you, Denny. I appreciate it. And I think that, when you talk about property values going down, a lot of Caymanians, despite the fact that we're complaining on the one hand that it's too expensive and our children can't buy land and young people can't buy land, how many of you would be willing to put policies in place that would decrease your property value by a significant amount? Shall we do a poll question on that today? That sounds like a wonderful poll question. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull up my poll question app here, and let's throw that question out there. It's a good question because there are changes undoubtedly that we can make. Let's be real here, but sometimes the change is going to be painful, and it's not necessarily without consequences. Let's put it that way. So let's open up this poll question. So this is about property and immigration, really. So the question is, are you willing to make, oh, good grief. They've made changes to this system now. Hold on. Okay. All right. Let me see if I can remember how to do this quickly. So we're going to do multiple choice question. Yes. The question is, are you willing to make immigration policy changes? I think this is a proper question. Sometimes you got to be careful you ask the question. That would negatively impact property values, because that's going to be okay. So option number one. Where's my option number one? Yes or no? All right, so let's see now. We're gonna start the interaction. Let's share it. Present mode. All right, copy the link. So let me copy the link. Oh, they've completely changed this thing. I am going to have to read up on this. QR code. All right, present. Oh, hold on. Screen share the present mode during your meeting. Okay. All right, honey, chill. Need to go back and see how to do this because they've changed things up. Yes, sir. All right. Poll question this morning. Participate. Let me show y'all the QR code. I put the link in the show as well. So the question is, when it comes to immigration reform, are you willing to make changes that could negatively impact property values? And it could be, it would be hard to say how negatively it would impact it, but say even 20, 30, 40% impact. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning, Sandra. How are you?
Morning, dear. Not bad. How you doing?
Not too bad. Jordan Rivers here.
Hi, Jordan.
I know Denny had just got off the radio, but I unfortunately tuned in a little bit too late. I was listening to the minister on radio, came on to see what he had to say about yesterday. But hopefully I don't double speak in terms of copying what he had just spoke about. But I wanted to raise a few points and I don't know if you got a chance to watch Parliament yesterday, but a few interesting things took place in the later hours of the evening. One of those was that the MP for West Bay North raised about for the government to consider putting a license for expatriate workers, which was met with cheer and joy, and a lot of
putting a what? Sorry.
Putting a license in place for the government to consider putting a license in place.
What do you mean a license? License for what?
To fish in our waters or take from our marine life.
Okay.
Yes. So that was met with a lot of happiness and joy from the other parliamentarians, which I have no issue with that at all. That's a very good piece of legislation, if you ask me. The issue I have with it is that it took you this long to do this, right? It's been 3.5 years, and that's a very simple piece of legislation. That's where I draw issue with that. The other
and is that a tremendous and pressing concern in this country?
What? To what? If
expats fishing? Is that a major concern?
It is and it is not. I'll tell you from an environmental standpoint. Our ocean can only provide so much for us, and we are seeing a massive decline in our natural resources over years because we have no regulation on our fishing in the Cayman Islands. Anyone from anywhere can come and do whatever they please. Well, I
But
personally do
is it
believe
the expats that are overfishing their waters, or is it the Caymanians?
It's honestly, I'll be very honest with you. It's a bit of both. It is a compounding problem because you have so many persons that fish, and we're talking not just fishing on boats in water. A lot of shoreline fishing. What I have seen in the expat community in particular, and we're not going to call any nationalities here, is that they have no regard for the size of what they're taking. They take any and everything they can get their hands on because for a lot of them, it is about a lot of survivability. So, as much as I would like to feel bad for them and understand their plight, this is our country. And if you destroy our natural resource when you're long gone, we'll have nothing left for ourselves. So I do think that it is a pressing issue in terms of the depletion, the drastic depletion of our natural resources. That's where I side with the member for West Bay North on. What I dislike is that, yes, it is a good piece of proposed legislation. We've known about these issues for decades now, and it took you only to just now. We are less than 6 months out from
and
the general
representative
election.
for West Bay North has been in office for how long?
I believe almost 16 years, if not 16 years by the end of this term.
Mm-hmm.
But it's much like oh goodness, Captain Eugene, who they're a running joke in West Bay that he's only brought legislation or proposed legislation for a conch farm over his tenure as well too. So you can see that this is a reoccurring thing with certain elected representatives.
Mm-hmm.
It's the issue I draw is that as much as I approve of what you've done, you're doing this for your final report card so that you can say come next election cycle that you did something. You haven't had 16 years.
As Denny rightfully pointed out, emotion is just emotion. It's not really.
Yeah, no, it is. It doesn't have any bearing. But they all supported with an eye to move forward with it. So granted, we're probably not going to see anything get done over that, but people are very good at spinning what they want to spin as a narrative. You know, it takes persons like yourself to call them on the BS. So thank you for your service when it comes to that. But that was just one of the two things. Like I said, that was a more minor facet compared to what the next thing was. And this is where things got interesting for those that were unable to witness this last night. The next motion which is what I kind of caught the tail end of what Denny was talking about with limiting persons to receive status based on either lineage or marriage, and then limiting it to 30 persons or whatever for persons that fall outside those parameters. What people did not see or did not hear was when Minister Kenneth Bryan called for a division, which that was, I'm not sure what happened there, but this is where it started to get interesting. When the division was called and each side had to give their ayes or noes to it, when it got to the Minister of Immigration is where there was a mass amount of hesitancy.
And this is who, John?
Yes, correct. Right, a massive amount of hesitancy. And I need the people of the Cayman Islands to understand this. He was not the only one that was hesitant. Okay? But we're talking about the Minister of Immigration, who is elected as a Caymanian by Caymanians for Caymanians. Yes, I understand there's a need to govern the entire country. But when it comes to immigration policies, you should be protecting this treasure that we call home. Not being hesitant as to whether we're even going to consider the conversation.
Yeah.
This leaves it to
Let me tell you one of the issues with this, Jordan, one of the unintended consequences when I heard about this that I thought was very, very interesting. When you talk about marriage, that's an area that's already quite ripe for abuse. When you do something like this, where you make that an even more enriching area. So in other words, you say there's going to be a very limited number of people who can get it through any other means except marriage and lineage. You know what's going to happen with all these marriages of convenience, right?
Yeah, they'll explode.
If we think it's bad now, Lord Jesus.
No,
and
I agree.
It's uncontrollable. You know, there's no controls over it. And so the question really becomes, how are we going to curtail that? Like, you've got to be prepared to think about in advance of any legislative changes, the unintended consequences, because a lot of the unintended consequences are actually quite predictable. And then you need to have a way to negate those or respond to those. And in lieu of that happening, we're going to have continued immigration problems. It's just going to shift from maybe one area to something else. And let me be very, very frank here. The people who have to utilize marriages of conveniences to be able to stay in this country are the least desirable a lot of times. People who get it through other means are professionals. They have jobs. They have, you know what I'm saying? They're bringing something to the table. We may not always like them, and they may be arrogant. They may be this, that, and the next thing, but at least they are more likely to not be a burden on the system.
No, they're financially viable individuals.
Yeah, the people who use the marriage of convenience, it's the cheapest way to get in. You find a Caymanian, you have a child with that Caymanian, so you get your anchor baby. You're, you know, contributing to a lot of social ills. Those are the people who are more likely to go and rely on things like NAU services, who are more likely to burden, you know, court systems and other things. So, you know, we talk about unintended consequences. I think a degree of balance is required, and we need to be extremely careful how we fix our immigration problems.
Yeah,
because pushing for a fix is one thing, but putting in and implementing the wrong kind of fix will make our situation even worse than it is currently.
Yes, no, I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. And you and I see eye to eye in a lot of the social issues and any kind of issue in Cayman, because you're an intelligent person, right? You've been in this for a very long time, so you see what happens a lot of here. And that is one of the thoughts that I have for those kinds of things, is that, like you're saying, we do shift from one problem to the next. The concern for me is that I strongly, and I know how you feel about certain politicians currently, right? So you'll understand where I'm coming from with this. I do not think that was the thought process when it comes to unintended consequences, which is what birthed that hesitancy. Persons like themselves, they live off of the government besides having a paycheck from government. Their business models come from that. And what is the largest amount of their workforce is created from immigration itself. Okay, so we can agree on that. That's where I feel that they may have felt threatened, and this is all hypothetical here now. I'm not going to make definitive statements like that, but from just my own personal knowledge from being in this and being raised in this for years, you can, if it's like you said yourself the other day, if it talks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, then it must be a duck. The other one, which was a bit more interesting to me, and if you don't listen carefully to what took place, you will almost miss it. Once it shifted from that side, so keep in mind now, there was 3 persons that were absent for that vote. That was Mr. McKeeva Bush, that was Miss Barbara Connolly, and that was Mr. Wayne Panton. I have no idea what happened there. I'm just putting that to the forefront here. All right. In terms of this division,
just say that last bit about the division again.
In when the division was called, obviously anonymity disappears.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because each person has to be accountable for their vote.
Right.
3 persons were not there. I have no idea what happened with them. Right. But when it shifted to the opposition side here now, just as Mr. Joey Hugh was about to go on to the mic, he either said this was not the plan or this was the plan. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but he was also extremely hesitant to answer. Now, if I've seen anything from opposition, is that they're always in favor of either a mutually beneficial government agreement or bill or policy, or it's sometimes good for the country. I'm not quite sure which this one fell on. But I also know that they happen to be large business owners themselves. Now, this is no discredit to him. I don't know what was going through his head at that point in time. I just find it interesting that there was a lot of hesitancy to this. This is not passing of a bill. This is a motion for government to consider what is going on. So there is no consequence when it comes to supporting something that can now be discussed amongst government, can now be discussed amongst the general public. There are no negatives to that. We're just putting this at the forefront of government business for cabinet or caucus to discuss. And I think that's very important. So when I see as an astute and an onlooker, I take a lot of issue when I see hesitancy from political leaders when it comes to things that are simple. Because if they can't do the simple things, they sure as hell can't do the difficult things. And that's what we've seen over decades here now, is that It is very easy to do the things that benefit yourself or mutually benefit your group, organization, party, whatever you want to call it. But when it comes to doing the right thing for the people, you all have difficulty. And I don't understand where that comes from, because you are us and we are you. We are the same persons. You don't have foreigners running our country. Well, in at least in the capacity of government, you don't have foreigners running our country. When it comes to the private sector and influence over our government, we have a whole different conversation at hand there. But what I'm saying is that I think it is imperative and important for the general public to understand these are who are elected currently, and whether that was an intended consequence of that division, right? And I say that because I do not know if the minister intended for that to happen or not, or was a double-edged sword. We now had a slip in the rank and file of parliamentarians, see exactly where some of them stand. And that is important coming into this next general election. Unfortunately, I don't have as much time as I would like to sit and talk with you today, because but it is what it is. I would like to sit and talk with you on the radio again about the incident that took place at the Hive, which is nothing major. This with the Link Up podcast. I just think it was very interesting what happened there. But we have a whole other day for that as well, Sandra. You have a wonderful day. Okay. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. All right.
All right, my dear. I'm not sure what incident that is, but all right. I guess we'll learn some more about it. Okay. So poll question. I've sent it in the WhatsApp channel as well. Let's start some participation here. Again, you can scan the QR code. I can send a link, which I have already. So very, very interesting results, almost split down the middle at the moment. So some of you are saying, yes, I'm willing to sacrifice property value. And others are saying no. Almost like I said, the no's have it at the moment. The yeses are 46%, no's are 54%, but let's go ahead and get your votes in. Numbers are still pretty low, but it's very, very interesting to see how close it is. I thought it was going to be a wider spread. Interesting. All right. So thank you for that call. Don't forget, folks, if you are now with Flow, our number is toll free. We've waited so long for this. What are we in now? Like 4 years with the show, and we finally got a toll free number. Well, what do they say? Better late than never. Good things come to those who wait. All right. Look at that. Now it's at 50-50. So keep voting. Live Happy says, yes, I am willing. We are going to die and leave it behind anyway. The future of our children must be looked after, or they will hate us for not looking out for them. Thank you, Live Happy. Shioma says, buying all these land tax-free plus getting status with the what? Purchase. Oh my God, politicians have too much power and immigration is a mess. So to be clear, you don't buy land tax-free in the Cayman Islands, you pay 7%. Which is actually a lot higher than a lot of other jurisdictions. That's the other unintended consequence of some immigration policies. Say it impacts property sales, right? And you stop property sales or you decrease them significantly. You impact people's property value, but you also impact the amount of money that government makes from the tax, aka stamp duty, that is attached to the sale of properties. Now, let me try to remember, because I recently had looked this up. So let me see if I can remember this in terms of how much money does government make from property tax. Any real estate people listening that could shed some light on this? Let me just see if I can quickly try to look up some numbers. So how much money does the Cayman Islands government make off of property stamp duty? Stamp duty. Because I'm pretty sure it is a very significant amount. And so then what you have happening is that, government's available money is going to be decreasing as well, which means they're going to be getting it from somewhere else. Who they coming after? Who they coming after, honey child? Good morning. So we pay 7.5% of the purchase price or market value for real estate. And for the first half of 2024, the government collected $45.7 million in stamp duty revenue, which represents an increase of 9.2 million compared to the same period for 2023. Good morning, caller.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, good morning, family.
Morning, dear.
Yeah, man, I have to call in agreement with the previous caller, about why are our elected politicians so reluctant to act on immigration policy that would secure the future of the future Caymanians, And I can put a 2 cents on this immigration policy.
Yes.
The policy that I would like to see enacted or changed or done something about is what the PPM enacted in their first step when they came out of the gate. And that was to raise this permit time from the 7 to 9 years, yeah? Because if we look around of our workforce is mostly, labor work. That's the most of the permit people, right? It's not lawyers and stuff. It's all labor workers, minimal workers, labor. Yeah, and these people come from, I would say, a lower class society when they came on Island, then they can afford to live here, right? So we give them this 9 years. So after 9 years, they automatically are in the running to apply for their status, right? And we give them the status, and guess what happens? They end up at NAU. So we have to take care of them because we have to remember Cayman is labeled as the second highest jurisdiction in the world to survive or to live. Yeah? So why don't we roll it back and secure the future? You know what I mean? Let them know, look, you're not here to stay. You're just here to make some money to fix back in your country, whatever it is, because most of the money is going up to remittance services anyway. So basically, you're just coming here for a time. But if you look at it, they're all getting the status off of it, or most of them. You have a 60%, and that's higher than whatever it is that's happening, so it's no good. To me, I don't see the future for the Caymanians, the younger ones, especially like my son and stuff, because guess what? I have seen people roll over from minimal jobs because the permit policy says that you have to look within before you can look out, right? If there's no suitable Caymanian available, that's when we put in the permit. But that doesn't work. It's all about money. Right now, it's all about money because we look at that as a pillar of our economy, permits. Yeah? But it's like the land thing that you were talking about just a while ago, about devaluing the land if we make it only for Caymanians to buy. But whose future are we securing? If we sell all the land that we have, it's only 76 square miles. So if all the land is gone, what are we going to value? If our own people can't afford it, what are we going to value? The money? Can we sleep? Can the money shelter you? If you piece it all together, the first rainstorm come that blowing away. So we have to know what we are valuing. We have to have the morality to know that, look, we have a chance now that we need to stop what's going on because infrastructure can't support what's going on right now. That's why all the problems, all the crime and everything else, infrastructure is not there. Why don't we stop everything, provide the infrastructure for what we want, and then we could go forward. But no, it's all about the money. So for me, if any politician, I hope they're listening, anybody wants my vote, they're going to know that they have to implement something to say, well, we're going to roll back this rollover policy. Yeah, and that's
well. Let me ask you a question now in relation to that, because the last election, John ran on an immigration reform policy, and he's had immigration and hasn't done a single thing with it. He actually said no more work permits, and I remember him being at meetings and everybody cheering him. Yeah, John, that's right. Yeah, you're blowing your little, election horn, and then this man gets in there and he does absolutely nothing when it comes to immigration reform. And in fact, you go see his company at the airport, he hires more Caymanian, more expats than anybody else.
But Sandra, look who you're talking about.
Yeah, but my point is, when it comes election time, he has consistently been able to fool the people, even utilizing the same rhetoric of, we need immigration reform. We're going to put a blanket stop on all work permits. He said those things and he has done nothing. Which, we should know that isn't realistic, but I'm just saying the people are so easily fooled.
The highest populace of people who are voting up, I would say, minimum wage and stuff people, right? Low class people, as they will want to call it. That's the max. That's the majority of the voters out there that they could fool. They could buy them a steak, give them a $5,000, just destroy their whole life. This is what it comes to, a price. And people got to stop putting these small prices on the future of Cayman Islands, because we hear about all the horse tradings and all these stuff. Like I say, if somebody wants my vote, I'm not going to vote just to sway or vote to get a certain party in, because that one bad apple or the one person that I might sway go in, he might destroy my whole future. So when it comes to voting, I don't like this one man, one vote. Cayman is a small constituency that I would be able to live in East End and vote for somebody in West Bay, because it's all about Cayman. It's not about West Bay or East End or North Side or Borden Town. It's all about doing collectively to secure the island. I come from the days where you had the Jim Bordens and all them guys. You only had 5 people running the whole of Cayman Islands, and we had better life, way of living there. I must say, if some might say it was harder, I would say it was better because they had more family values. Now, we don't have a family value thing here. Cayman as I know it, and I growing up to see it, is disappearing. And I'm only at 76, baby.
Yes.
Know what I mean? I didn't come from in the 60s and the better times where people talk about. I come from 1976, and what I have seen Cayman transform from. No. This is some place that I don't even recognize sometimes. One time we used to have a village thing here where when my mother used to make me go to the house, I go to the house all day. She'd say, come back before the street light come on. And nobody was looking for me. But if my son is outside in the front, if he's playing, I have to be out front there too. That is the kind of feel Cayman come to. And it's all because we have created a society that is not sustainable. We keep on trying to build because of this money. But what are we building to? What are we building for? When the building finish, what do we have left to say? Well, continuation. Next 50 years from now, the kids of Cayman can have something to acquire. It's not going to happen at this rate. So we have to lock something. And talking about only certain people can get this PR thing. Well, as you say, Sandra, the people who get this PR are paying for this thing differently, you know. You see what I'm saying? Like the one who come here and work in a minimal job, and he gets the 9 years, and somewhere under the loophole he gets his status, and then end up
no, the quickest way now to get it these days is to go through marriage.
Well,
quickest and cheapest.
You keep on talking of marriage of convenience. All marriage is a marriage of convenience, because it's convenient for me to marry somebody if I want to have a good life and share certain responsibilities. Everybody like our marriage is a marriage of convenience. But convenience to what?
Well, there's a different definition of what a marriage of convenience is in law when it comes to immigration.
In law, as they say. But it's hard to prove in that same law. Because I have known people who went to the States, got married up, it's married convenient. And you know what they do? They put half of the man stuff, or the man who they married, who they paid to get married to, they put half of his stuff or some man stuff in the drawers and stuff. And every weekend they take a little picture, put up on social media. They get seen here and there, but they're not together.
Yeah, well, that's a marriage of convenience. Yeah.
And well, that is a true marriage of convenience, but is it economic? Is it for whatever it is? No, I mean, it's
for immigration. Yeah.
But as I say, we can never stop that. But it's only a fool would marry for convenience, of that kind of convenience, because that's a debt trap to put yourself in.
Listen to me. A lot of people do it. That person's going to give you a couple dollars, and so you're happy.
Well, I guess there's something. I know a man who was approached and got into this contract of marriage convenience. He had his family land. And him and this girl, they married on the convenience clause, you know. She paid him to get married because she wanted to be here in Cayman. I know what ended up happening, ended up losing a piece of land. Because you know what happened? 2 years later, when her man came and they started thicker and everything went bad, she went left and she went to the court she need half of everything. And you know what happened? She got half of everything. She got the piece of land that he had. And it's always that way. And we have to look into it. It don't make sense to marry for no convenience. And we don't live in a society in Cayman where if we don't get married, if not 2 hours, you can't make it.
Well,
No,
I
we
mean,
live in a
you're
very good place.
thinking of that from your perspective. The people who see the convenience of it are people from overseas who want to come here and be able to get status very, very quickly, relatively
No, but I'm speaking to the
inexpensively.
Cayman and themselves. But I'm speaking to the ones who are actually giving these people the leeway of the convenience.
Yeah, but
You don't marry them.
You're talking to people who can't even hold jobs half the time. So they want some poor Jamaican or Honduran or whoever to come here and give them a little $500 each month to marry them. And they're
But
happy. They're happy to sell their birthright for that.
But they could always end up losing in the end.
Yeah, but they don't see it that way. You understand what I'm saying? They see that it's like a lot of our voters. You say they're gonna end up losing in the end when they select certain politicians that buy them out come election time, but they don't see it that way. They're like, oh, well, right now I need to pay my electric bill and I need somebody who's going to give me money to do that and whatever. And then they sell their votes for that too. So I think our people have an issue with recognizing the value of things, the value of their vote, the value of their birthright, the value of status, the value of our land, the value of our country.
Yes, we need to learn to value ourselves. That's exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We need to have more self-love than believing that everything that comes from off of the sea is better than us.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you ask most of the contractors here, they aren't building nothing around here. The ones who build the epidome for everybody else to come, they can't get a job, a decent contract.
Yeah.
Because they're bringing in every Tom, Dick, and Harry from over Zimbabwe.
Mm-hmm.
No puns intended.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Zimbabwe, but I'm just saying anywhere else in the world apart from here. That's where we take the talk from. It's like some people come on TikTok and say that, oh, they're streamers and they become bloggers and then they become influencers. Somebody who can't read and write and can't lead a future, you're going to be an influencer, and that's what they look at. It's what the world is at today. They'll make, like, I always say, I'm going to go off a subject. I always say, how do these people make money off of OnlyFans? I still come from that realm to say somebody would actually pay you money that don't know you, that's going to just maybe have a conversation or you might show them a part. But you have all these free streaming platforms, all these X movies. So why would you pay somebody that and making them? I saw a girl the other day on it stage that she made $40 million in a year.
Off of OnlyFans. Oh my gosh! You might. Let me ask you a question. Call it. You got some cute toes? You too can be OnlyFans.
No. I gotta be honest. My toes are that pretty to show up there. No.
I was gonna say you could be an OnlyFans celebrity too, honey chill. All right, my dear. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Too.
Yeah, some good comments. Thank you so much. All right, folks, keep participating in the poll. Poll questions now 62% say yes. Are you willing to make immigration policy changes that would negatively impact property values? I just had to laugh at the OnlyFans comparison. I'm like, hey, you got cute toes? Listen, okay, I've never been on OnlyFans, but I hear that there's all kind of freaky leaky stuff going on there. So everything turns people on. Some people like to look at people's hands, their toes, seeing people eat. It's all kind of weirdness. And apparently there's something for everybody, whatever your fetish is. Johan seems to be a fan. He says OnlyFans equals quality entertainment, popcorn and smiles. So yeah, I mean, listen, these are some really salient points and some good things for us to be hashing out and talking about. And, trying to figure out as well. Unapologetic says, but we are to blame. Bunch of under the tree gossiping, doing nothing, complaining Negroes, no backbone, and too ras soft. Oh my gosh. Live Happy says the roof is on fire. Nick Joseph. I think he did an editorial piece. By the way, Nick never sent that to us. I would have loved to publish it, but he never sent it to us. So, I don't like to steal people's stuff unless they submit it directly. But he definitely made a very, very, does somebody have a phone number for Nick? I think I need to message him. Someone says, please give that caller a kaboom. So yeah, I mean, these are all really, really good points. And I think, again, we have to be careful. The people who are attracted to marriages of convenience, which, I mean, maybe if you get rid of some of the other types of, immigration, like means to be able to stay here, you make that even more attractive to other people as well. I mean, maybe some of the uber rich people start looking at Caymanian men and women and going, "Ooh, honey child, you looking good, so I can stay in the Cayman Islands." And then, you have some diversity in who has, in more recent times, been taking advantage of the marriages of convenience. It is interesting. Oh my gosh, what a mess we are in. And there's no easy fixes, to be sure. Listen, one of the reasons I always talk about immigration policies and employment and all sorts of stuff from all over the world is for people to understand, quite frankly, that we are in the same boat worldwide. If you have a half decent place to live, a half decent country, relatively crime free, the fact that the weather is good, that makes it even more attractive. Even despite the cost of living, it's still not as bad as a lot of other places that these people are coming from. So there's lots to consider. People want to come because where they're coming from is far worse than what you have. No matter how bad you think it is, somebody else wants to come to your country because this is the land of milk and honey and dumpling and everything else for everybody. So a lot of our problems are not necessarily unique to the Cayman Islands, but we need to find solutions that can be tweaked and work for us. And in all things, I say balance, right? It's a balancing act. I don't like extremists. I really don't. So people who say no work permits, no, that I'm like, you make my head hurt. We can't take that extreme approach. And on the other hand, we can't have a completely fling open door policy and let any and everything in as well. There has to be balance, and we need to find that kind of sweet spot where as Caymanians, we can thrive in our own country. We can have opportunities. We can become successful in our country. And at the same time, welcome certain people. We want to start looking towards bringing people of caliber back in here who care about this community. Someone I was having a discussion recently with, and I said, what do you think has changed from, back in the day when people came here and they were much more integrated into Cayman society? And the person said to me, to be honest, they didn't have a choice. It was almost like forced integration. There were so few watering holes, so few bars and whatever. Everybody kind of hung out together. Think about East End back in the day, Moritz, that was it. And so everybody went to the same places. People hung out together. And that was kind of almost like a forced integration. Now there are so many options for people to choose from where they want to hang out and what they want to do, that they can go places where they're not really going to integrate with Caymanians. So my thing, though, and I always say this, is we as Caymanians also have a responsibility. We say, when you go to Rome, you do as the Romans. Absolutely. But I also think that sometimes we can come off as a bit standoffish, right? So even expats at work, they're scared of some of y'all Caymanians, honey child. They don't know how to interact with you. They don't know, they're like, oh my God, I'm scared. And so, do your part. Invite, like we just had Caymanian Thanksgiving. How many of you all invited an expat to your house for Caymanian Thanksgiving? Here they are not wanting us to eat our turtle, going on like they've lost their goddamn mind with that and all sorts of other stuff. I invited some expats to my house for Thanksgiving. And guess what? We had a little bit of turtle, not much. A little bit of turtle. And one lady, she's from Ukraine. She ate the turtle and she loved it. It was her first time trying turtle. She was like, how can I get more turtle? I had a neighbor come over from Jamaica, been in Cayman 35 years and never had turtle. I was like, how many Caymanian friends y'all got? Y'all need to be hanging out with more Caymanians. I'm like, go have some turtle. And they liked it. Mm-hmm. So we need to extend, I think, some courtesies as well, right? And people who are, genuine individuals will accept your invitation and they will come and have a good time. And then that's an experience that they can take away and say, you know what? I went to a Caymanian home and it was so nice. And I had some nice food and some nice fellowship. And it was absolutely beautiful. So do your part, invite people, because I know as Caymanians, sometimes we kind of mentally and physically segregate ourselves from other people. I see it even in the schools and stuff like that. You know, you go to a party and you're the only, you know, Caymanian parent there with your one little Caymanian child. You know, when it comes your time to have a function, invite those people over too. Invite them to your birthday parties and stuff like that. So, Faith said, you didn't invite me, Miss Sandy. Oh, my Lord. Listen, I've been having so many requests for those brownies lately. Lord have mercy. Somebody said, my birthday's coming up. Can I get brownies? I said, yes, sir. I'm just wondering how many of the yes in the poll are actually Caymanians, just because many has bought property here only for beneficial gains and foothold to remain here. John LaRue had a question that I saw earlier. John says, define outsider. I have lived here for over 25 years, own a house and want to give it to my kids. I don't want lower property values. Unapologetic says, you have the means to degree. How many people are just making it day by day? Well, let me say let me say this about that, unapologetic. Yes, I have the means now. I'm 51 years old. I have not always had the means. I too have lived paycheck to paycheck, not even paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes you get a paycheck and you're broke before the next paycheck, right? I have not known where the next meal was coming from. So the sacrifices and the plight of some of our people, I am very familiar with, because I too come from that same environment. I come from the same households, the same, you know, mom trying to work multiple jobs, all sorts of social issues in the household. I know what you're talking about. Okay. So it's not like I don't have that experience or I don't understand those things. I may be in this moment in my life in a little bit better position financially. However, the thing that we need to do with our people is educate them on how to get there. How do you go from living paycheck to paycheck and barely making it, you know, every day it's like a hustle to try and put food on the table. How do you go from that position to being a little bit more comfortable in life where you don't have that constant worry every single day? A lot of that comes down to financial literacy and teaching our people how to make better financial decisions. And those are things that we cannot blame on expats. Those are things that we need to take accountability for, because there's a lot that we can do to manage our finances better. But look at the leadership of the country. The leadership of the country needs to take those courses too, because they can't even, they have no fiscal restraint at all. So Andrea says, I hope you didn't invite Johan. Johan was right there eating brownies, child. You know it. So Live Happy says, exercise caution when inviting people to make themselves at home, as they may take the phrase literally and overstay their welcome, which is precisely what has happened to Cayman across the board. Oh my gosh. Ay. What a hot mess. There's always multiple facets to different things, right? And unintended consequences. Live Happy. But I think when we're talking about integration, that it is necessary for us to be willing to extend the olive branch as well. Yes, apologetic. Thank you so much. So listen, I've got something to share here that someone sent me. We're going to talk about this on future shows as well. So this is a spreadsheet showing the status grants, the different types over the last, from 2009. How many years is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years. And how people got them, the different categories. Now, most interestingly enough, on the grounds of marriage, this is one of the higher categories, over 3,100 people. Then we had naturalization. And I wonder how do you get to naturalization? That's a question. Of course, you get there through marriage as well, right? Don't you? That was 3,400. Grounds of dissent, only 496. Governor and cabinet approved by board is 20. And then surviving spouses of a Caymanian, 42. Continuation after age 18 is 407. So the two largest categories, grounds of marriage and grounds of naturalization. I'm going to speak to an immigration person because I want to learn a little bit more about this grounds of naturalization category. But let's be very, very clear here. One of the biggest categories is grounds of marriage. And so the proposal that is being put forward isn't going to impact that category at all. Would it impact the grounds of naturalization category? Huh. All right. I'm going to speak to an immigration expert because, of course, I am no expert and I don't pretend to be on a lot of different topics. And so I always resort to asking the people who are truly experts what their thoughts are and exactly what these different categories are. So let me have a chat with a few people on these, and then I'm going to circle back to this next week. So listen, I've got to get to court this morning. I want to be on time, and I don't want to have to be rushing. I want to take my time. Somebody says, don't want to call in, but I want to express why the NICE program have the workers driving the vehicles. Almost got hit by one just now on Albert Panton because he was speeding, and I have to wait until cars pass because a delivery truck was in the road doing a delivery for the construction site. And his name is Garfield because I saw them in my area. So they're driving government trucks recklessly. And once again, no cameras in any of those government trucks. What a mess. Yeah, but this person says grounds of naturalization is the DG office. No, but my husband has done naturalization, but that was through grounds of marriage. So I need to understand, how are they separating, like what's the distinction there, right? Because he's been naturalized. He went and did was that naturalization? What did he do? I can't remember. Is that where you go get your little status thing? But the DG's office, isn't that the same thing, or is that something different? Yeah, I think that's what that is. He's got some kind of paper now, honey chill. Let me also show you guys something. This is something else that just came in. Someone wanted to share this with the PPM. Someone asked me, yes, has the PPM reached out to you to come on for election stuff? And I said, no. They must have taken one out of Mario's handbook. They scared the cold hard truth. All right. Someone said this, saying that the PPM is putting on this to get voters. They so fucking hard up, man. I pray all PPM gets voted out this time. So this is some kind of FET, the vote cooler FET. So that's happening tonight, Cardinal Avenue. I'm guessing that the PPM are trying a thing. They have some younger people that they say they brought on board, and I'm assuming that this is one of their ideas and how to get y'all interested in registering to vote. Okay. I mean, maybe it might work. I'm not sure. Because you're mixing alcohol with registering to vote and fetting with registering to vote. Is that the right time for people to be thinking about getting registered to vote? I wonder how many people they're actually going to get signed up to register to vote. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I'll be the first to say, I don't know. All right, listen, I want to talk about Truth for Youth this morning. Doesn't look like I'm going to get to that topic at all. So let's leave that until Monday. But I want to talk about the fact that government is trying to bail them out of a financial situation. And what does that mean for Truth for Youth specifically? and for private education in this country, more generally speaking. It is a precedent that they're certainly setting. And those of you who are parents who have children that go to Truth for Youth, please message me, because I'm curious to know what's happening there. Why is there such a decline in their enrollment numbers? And what is the long-term solution? Because the solution can't be that government is going to keep bailing you out. That can't be the solution. There has to be a longer-term solution. So what exactly is that longer-term solution? All right, let's do an anniversary shout out. My apologies. To Vernie Coe and his beautiful wife, Charm. They are celebrating their 16th anniversary today. Is it today? Yeah, I believe so. So, I think it was actually yesterday. They celebrated their 16th anniversary. So congratulations. Hope that you guys have many more lovely anniversaries to celebrate. Someone said because Truth for Youth keeps failing their inspections 4 in a row. So nobody wants to send their kids there, because who wants to send their kids to a failing private school, especially when you got to pay good money for that? So you got to fix that issue, or you don't have a viable business. Nobody, wants to go to school that's failing their children. I mean, some of you are doing it with government schools because you're like, well, at least that's free. But nobody's going to pay for that. Nobody's going to pay for a failing school. This person says Truth for Youth has always been the poor people's private school. They're hemorrhaging and just need to close down. What? Let's talk about it on Monday. Ooh, honey child. Yes, sir. We gotta come to some decisions and conclusions about Truth for Youth. Maybe they need a dose of the cold hard truth. Pun intended. I'm just saying. Monday, we'll talk about it. Happy Friday the 13th, folks. Please be safe on the roadways. Drive with caution. Do not drink and drive. My God, we say it every week and y'all still do it. You're going out there drinking and driving and doing the most and killing people. I'm begging you, please, to think about it. What's that commercial you used to say? That life you might save could be your own. Ay, what a mess. All right, folks, be safe, and we will catch up with you on Monday morning, and we'll definitely have this discussion about Truth for Youth for sure. Take care until then.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.